happening. People stormed parliament, and
You know what I found funny is I know it's so serious, but I found it interesting when the guys broke in there and the first thing they went to do is eat the food.
It's because
They're hungry. They're protesting. Because they're hungry.
It's because fair play. It's because the kitchen was the first, like it was the nearest place from where the security was breached. That was the first, because they came in through the kitchen and the cafeteria.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like the first place.
Yeah, he has to
you could see the guys just grabbing away and eating. I said, yeah, these are people who've had enough, my friend.
Yeah, and then people were like, yo, on Thursday we are going to State House. We want to compare which chef is okay. Is it the parliament chef or is it the State House chef?
Yeah.
but that didn't happen for the State House.
My interesting bit was, so I was interested, he talked about reducing the cabinet.
On Tuesday,
and I was like, why didn't you do that during the
Tuesday,
first day of reducing?
Let's go back on Tuesday.
No, he was like saying about the government, he was going to cut down the ministers' pay.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I thought, that's interesting. Why did you not? So it had to take a protest for you to realize common sense, basically.
On Tuesday.
Which I found it quite interesting.
When people broke into parliament, this is what I wanted to say. President himself went on national television and said, this was a treasonous act. These are criminals. So guys were like,
oh yes, yeah, that's what they said. We woke up as what did I forgot what that saying was.
Peaceful protesters, I don't know something.
That we slept as
criminals. So you are calling us now criminals. Yes. Hold on Thursday we are still coming out. So on Thursday people went out again, but then people are going out to a State House.
Yes.
They never entered State House, but they were outside State House. They sang. The army was there.
Oh, they made it to the State House.
Yeah, they made not near State House, but on the road, where the army had set up.
Yeah, because they had put blockages for them to get in there.
But they were there. Yeah. They made their statement. We are coming here. We are coming here. But then, a funny thing is that on Tuesday, and this is what most Kenyans feel, whatever statement the president made on Tuesday of the 25th of June,
this was triggered up.
That was him. That was the real him speaking, because he spoke with a lot of anger. He spoke with a lot of. You know, when someone speaks to you and you can feel that this guy is pissed off at us.
He's taking the people for granted.
Yeah, you're taking us for granted.
Yeah.
Then the next day on Wednesday, that's when he came out with all his ministers. And shame on them, actually, these ministers and these MPs, because they were seated, but the previous day, before parliament was breached, these guys on Monday and Tuesday morning, they were on record on TV saying, this bill shall pass. This bill shall pass. True to their word.
That's a proper U-turn then, isn't it?
True to their word, they passed it. Yes. True to their word, they said this bill will pass, and they passed it.
The funniest thing was one of them actually said, I saw the writing anyway. He says that the guy said he was asleep.
Yeah, and said yes.
Somebody called his name and he said yes.
He thought it was about food.
you know the fact that he was actually proudly saying I was sleeping.
On
a job.
How? You're in
then I woke up, I had people saying yes, I said yes too.
And you know what? This is the thing why this generation is like, wait a minute, man. We're fed up of this oldies always coming in with an excuse of which they're getting away with a lot of things, man, to be honest with you. It's like every time you look at every situation, it's like somebody always comes up with something very cheeky. It looks funny when you read it, but when you start looking deep into it, this guy said he was asleep, then they called his name and he said yes. That's how it ended up being. So you're basically even calling the people you're working with idiots. Because how is it that because you said yes, that's why they just decided to say okay. Do you know what I mean? It's quite an interesting. It's an interesting way, man. But you know the name before I forget, because you remember, you listen to Tables Chronicles and you're always telling me, you always come up with the answer at the end.
Yes.
Napoleon Bonaparte is the name I was trying to remember.
Napoleon
Bonaparte. Yeah, so that's the guy who sold the Louisiana land sale. Yeah, I think he was left-handed as well.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, how? As an MP of Kenya, over your 5-year period of serving, you will earn
Well, Kenya, you guys do every 5 years.
Yeah, 5
You
years.
don't do
Yeah,
4
it's
years,
British. It's so British. It's unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
5 years.
Yeah.
So
But Ghana is
You guys is 4 years.
We have 4 years, but Ghana was obviously
because you guys follow West. That's what I said to you. West Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana follows the US system to the core. Now Kenya is one thing they've stuck with is that 5 years remaining in power thing. But when you get to Kenya, it's
But Kenya's a republic, right?
but it's in between. It's in between following the US or the UK. So even on that expressway that's been built, there's one part of it where I started laughing. I said, you know what, this country is funny. And the guys looked at me and goes, why are you saying it's funny? I said to him, his name is Benson. I said, Benson, let me tell you something, man. As I'm driving here, I can see the empowerment of two places.
Yes.
And he was like, yeah? I said, yeah. Center. You could see there it's written CENTRE.
Yeah, which is the English way.
Which is the English way, right? And then you go a little bit further down, the exit part, I think is CENTER. I said, now for you're not seeing exactly what I'm seeing, but I can tell you what I'm seeing is England and United States.
They're trying to dominate.
And that's the beauty of traveling. I think when you travel in the world,
this is it.
You
start seeing it from a different perspective.
So people travel. Travel is good.
Yeah, man. If you can
travel and experience
the world and see what.
The world is a beautiful place. Complex but beautiful place.
Yeah, because even the other day I was talking with I was talking and we're busy chatting, and then one of the friends just goes to me, it's not. You're saying ARCs. It's not ARCs. It's ASK. I said, oh God, here we go, man. And I said, you know what? The problem is when you hang around with certain people, you start picking up the languages in certain. Yeah. So for me, even when I'm in Kenya, I try my best not to speak in English.
That's good.
I try my best not to speak in English.
My auntie in the UK, she's like, I hate taking my small boys to Kenya because once I take them to Kenya, that's when everyone wants to practice their English. Instead of these guys have come here to Kenya to learn
the Kenyan language.
To learn Swahili, to learn the native language.
Is Swahili
it's the number one.
Not
Swahili
one
and English.
Yeah.
Oh, English. Okay.
Yeah. But what's interesting is because I was even talking with my friend about this because he was saying that listen, it's funny how my children in the house. No, when they go to school, they're speaking in English. When they come back home, they speak Sheng, which is a mixture of both. English so Sheng is that's slang basically.
Yes, Sheng is the slang of Swahili now.
But it's a mixture of it now. Yeah. But when I was younger, I remember the schools used to have days where they tell you like it's only English you're going to speak today, or it's only Swahili you're going to speak today. But I think obviously as time has changed,
you know, you used to wear like these crazy things.
Yeah. But in Ghana, even this it's funny when you guys talk, right? I'm like, I feel like.
It's the same system.
In Ghana, there's most of these kids who are in private schools and so forth, they don't understand their own native language. They only speak English. And the parents are so proud
of it
that their children are speaking English rather than their native tongue.
And I tell you, I've always said this. This is another reason why I was laughing with this Nigerian guy I know, right? Because I told him, I said, do you know the one country that speaks more English than anywhere else in the world is Nigeria. And she looked at me and she was like, what do you mean? I said, look, because she was talking, we worked together at the time. And she said to me, oh, stop parabolating. Listen.
Who the hell uses that?
Listen, I looked at her and I said, what did you say? She goes, parabolating. I said, what does that even mean? Right? Have you ever heard it before?
I've heard it, but then I don't expect someone to be using it.
No, listen, I never even knew Kenyans even know this. That's how I know you guys speak a different English now. Because she even told me after that, I told her, let me tell you something, man. I guarantee everybody here, it's only you that probably knows what parabolating mean, and another maybe Nigerian.
I don't know what it means. What does it mean?
It's walking basically aimlessly.
Oh, okay.
Parabolating is aimlessly, or you know what I mean?
Like running around a headless chicken.
Basically, you're just walking around like a chicken. You're walking around aimlessly. Stop parabolating, and I was like, I've never known that.
If you're talking, someone tells you that, they're saying stop speaking around the bushes. Just go straight to the point.
Yes.
It depends on what context.
But you see, that's one thing about Nigerians. When they speak English, they go to the core of a dictionary. And she told me like, oh, it's after I had a conversation with you, when you said you don't know what parabolating means, I started looking at myself a bit differently when I got home, and I was like, yeah. And she goes, I realized that even my own uncle and my dad used to read the dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary is what they used to read. And I was like, really? And she goes, yeah, they used to sit down and read it. And I was like, you see, And she goes, that's why sometimes when you hear me speaking and I come up with certain words and tones, you always look at me in shock.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, because I can't think anybody using that language at this moment in time. But time.
My thing about Nigerians is, speaking on Nigeria, is for me, obviously, I've grown up around a lot of Nigerians. My older son's godfather is actually Nigerian.
Yeah.
And I always say, if Nigeria gets their act together, Africa will be fine.
Oh yes,
that's
You see what I mean?
Listen,
but they're the only ones that don't like going back.
They don't really go back home.
I get the situation there, but
we have to them though. They have 250 million, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, but China did the same. The people in China
is a billion
went out,
plus.
studied,
almost 2.
Studied, then went back to China to build China. And then I think Nigeria. I know it's not easy, but we all, you and I, we go back and forth. We're trying to do things back home in our respective countries. I do a lot of charities back home and so forth. But for me, my thing is the children.
Yeah.
You have to get them at a young age and let them know how powerful they are.
Where home
as
is.
Africans and where home is. Yeah. And I always encourage them to travel. When the chance comes, travel. But always come back. So, I've got this necklace on. Funny enough, we're talking about coming back. Yeah. I got this necklace on today and it's called Sankofa.
I've seen this thing.
The bird
Sankofa. In tree.
That means that never forget the past. Always go back to where you come from. Your heritage, your culture, your roots.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So for me, it's important that we as Africans, we get that mentality back. And I'm not saying go and live there, but you have to have base there and touch the people.
I've seen there's a guy I was watching on YouTube. I don't know if I shared that clip with you when he was from the US, but he's an Igbo man who built a mansion in Nigeria, man. Really nice house, man. But he was like, the interesting thing, he was like, I'll probably come to this house. It was $1 million property he built in Nigeria, but he was like, probably once a year you see me in his property. I was like, $1 million property and you're just being there once. Nah. Yeah. And you know what? The thing is, if you look at Africa in itself, right? Because a lot of people are always like, Africa is this. There's more life.
Africa is truly gifted. Let me be honest. Africa is truly
There's more
gifted.
Life, man. You're sitting down there.
Can I
give you some quick facts about Africa?
Of course.
So, for exact.
let me start with the Congo first of all. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know if the river Congo was harvested, half of it, the power that river Congo has, like the way the river Nile
it will electrify the whole of Africa. Yeah,
electrify the whole of Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, that I know.
Honestly, that's one thing that personally, it
will electrify the biggest continent on the planet. Africa is the biggest
continent. Without having Dumso. Basically.
Yeah, Dumso.
Do you know what Dumso means? That's the power cut of Ghana.
Light on.
The KPLC cut off.
Doom means off, and doom means turn off, and then so means on.
Oh, Doomso.
Doomso, yeah.
So doom means off, and then so means
okay. So hold on. Speaking of which, because I read an article from some economist in Africa. He was saying that it was more in the line of imports and all that.
Yes.
And then I read a line that said that Nigeria is the biggest importer of generators in the world.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yes.
In the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So is it the same thing? Does Ghanaians also import a lot of generators?
Not only generator, we import everything. We import food and we import onions from Burkina Faso. Ghana's an imported country. Yes.
Even the crazier thing. Let me tell you the crazier thing. Nigeria produces oil.
Yeah, it produces a lot of.
But Nigeria buys oil. He buys the oil back.
Well, that's what Dan Gota, I was listening to one of his interviews yesterday.
Yeah,
and he's built a refinery.
Finally,
yes.
Is it complete?
It's almost. I think it's almost there, or it's just about there. It's not far
Aliko
away.
Dangote.
And he said something really important when I was listening to that interview. He said, I was doing my walks and I had it in my ears and I just listened to it. And he said, why are we in Africa not producing what we consume? Just that line alone.
Finished.
It just got me like, why are you not producing something you consume? Why are you not producing in your own. Why do you have to depend on somebody?
Depend on somebody else.
And he is he's a Pan-Africanist because what he says and what he's doing, he's a proof of it.
Okay.
It's not some of these so-called leaders, which we call politicians.
They lie to us.
Who come and say they are the most truest Pan-Africanist leader we've had is Kwame Nkrumah.
Yep.
And he's been like the light of beacon for a lot of Pan-Africanists around the world. And if you follow his teaching, all the stuff that he implemented during his time, Ghanaians are still using it today.
Look at that.
When it comes to our doomsday situation, the Akosombo Dam he built, we still get majority of our electricity from there.
Yeah.
And the roads, which is not, some of them are getting better and I could be doing it. Most of the roads he built, the factories he built. So, when he talked about, he said he doesn't want Ghana to be free, he wants Africa as a continent to be free. Once Africa is free, then we are all free.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I think Nigeria is a very big, for me, I always call Nigeria.
No, because Nigeria has that power.
I think they got the power. They can make that change.
Yeah. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that you're saying about, in Kenya, our biggest exports are coffee and tea.
Yeah, but
then the thing is,
when you get here.
Yeah,
is it?
Bruv, when you go to the shop, is it not English tea?
Oh, is it? They put it.
But tea doesn't come from here. It comes from Kenya.
Funny enough, they don't grow anything.
The thing is, even this tea and coffee, it comes here. Then they do their value addition here. Then it's taken back to Kenya.
They always
but they can do it in Kenya.
They can do it in Kenya.
It's just that recently they've been trying to.
Can I say something else? That this finance bill, first of all, not this finance bill, the previous finance bill, last year's finance bill, you see this tea bag, you see this material that makes that covers the tea bag, that material, it's some sort of paper, right?
Yes.
They used to it was zero rated in Kenya. Zero rating in government terms, it means that once you produce it, once let's say you've produced this tea bag, you will pay for the VAT as the producer of this tea bag. You will pay for the VAT of the paper. Get the paper, make your tea, and sell it. Then you go to the government and tell them, I paid VAT on this paper. Can you refund me?
Okay.
That means zero rated.
Okay.
You pay tax, yes,
and
but
then
claim it back. You claim it back.
Okay.
But
why did they just abandon it in the first place?
It's just an English thing, isn't it?
It's just more admin, isn't it?
They removed it from zero rating to tax exemption.
Okay.
Tax exemption is different because this means now you will pay for the VAT, but you can't claim it back.
So how are you exempt then? Because exempt means that you're not meant.
It's just, as I'm telling you, using big words to confuse the masses. But when you look deeply on how this big, what the definition of this big word is, it doesn't really make sense. Just like you're wondering, why do you use tax exempting if
you're still paying for it?
Yeah, exactly.
Exempt means that you're
excluded
from it.
So right now, there was some this how usually tea happens in Kenya. We harvest tea, you've seen the way they harvest the tea, putting them. It's taken.
Is that your main biggest export?
Tea and coffee.
Tea and coffee. Okay.
Yeah, tea and coffee.
There's nothing. There's no oil.
So Ghana is obviously gold and obviously
we don't have, actually in Kenya we don't have any natural resource.
We don't have any oil or any of that.
Yeah. We don't have. We have
yet.
I think
to be found.
I think they found somewhere.
They found some oil.
But it's in the middle of
in Turkana in
some
Gamia
ownership
1.
of somewhere.
But then it wasn't. It's not enough to like.
It's not that it's not enough. It's that there's nobody in there to actually grab into.
No, even the aquifer that was found, because it's underground, it's found in aquifers, just like water. The aquifer that was discovered did not really hold.
It's not substantial enough.
It's not really.
Remember, the land is vast, isn't it? So there's so many things not yet discovered.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think Ghana found oil. I believe.
I remember Ghana did
2012. Don't get me. I might be wrong, Ghanaian. I think it was around 2012 that we discovered oil, and we are still. And oil prices has actually gone higher if you
Shut
discover
up,
the
shut
But
up.
then
diamond.
you see, that's
There's
the
almost
thing.
like a punishment when
And-
you
and-
find
and-
when you
and
find
see,
it, yeah.
The thing is, and I want you to understand something, and this is where Gaddafi was trying to advocate for like Africans to have our own united kind of currency.
Yes.
Because up to this year,
Yes.
as we speak, the world was pegged on the dollar. The oil, that oil to dollar contract that was there between Saudi Arabia.
Oh, they've just turned it, didn't they?
Yeah, they are not
cancel
They're
it.
using
They're
the
not-
BRICS.
No,
They're
it
using the BRIC
expired.
currency
They're not-
anymore.
It expired.
They're not.
They're not
renewing
renewing
it.
it.
No.
Yeah.
So they
This
want
is
to deal with
because-
the Russian.
Yeah,
what's
the
it called?
BRICS, isn't it?
Yeah, with the BRICS thing,
currency.
yeah.
Yeah, this is because and I can't blame Saudi Arabia because as an
So
economist,
Saudi needs to be careful. There might be a war coming down there.
Well, this is
America
it.
will
as
take that line
an
down.
economist, I can't lock out the rest of the world because that's the thing. US used the dollar to
Control the
harass,
world.
to control the world.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know what to do, what US wants, so we are not giving you the dollar. And if you
Yes.
don't have the dollar, buying
But you know
such
what, though?
things like oil becomes hard to you. So economically, you can't really blame the Saudis for doing.
Yes.
Yeah, for doing.
But
for
the thing
going-
is, let me tell you, Saudi Arabia has one of the best deals with the US, to be honest with you. Because what they did in the 70s, the US realized that because they tried to, I think it was in the 70s when the United States.
yeah, it was in
they
the
tried-
70s.
They tried
yeah.
to,
I think
tried
it was
to
Nixon,
control
if
Saudi.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember who did it, but they tried to control Saudi, but it backfired.
Yeah.
And it backfired so bad that they realized that, you know what, listen, all you need to do is trade with the dollar.
Yeah,
And
and we'll give you
do what
security.
you want to do. Do
But
what you
just
want to
don't
do.
mess with the dollar.
Just keep the dollar moving. Hence
Yes.
why certain issues, like we were speaking about
Prince,
Khashoggi a few
yes,
seconds ago.
yes.
Yeah, that issue should be investigated. Saudi just said, oh yeah, it's under investigation.
Yeah.
This person and that person locked up. Do you know if they're really in there? No.
Brush under the carpet.
Well, this
as
is
it's
it, and
gone.
that's why there was a time in Saudi. I think still till today, when women go to Saudi Arabia, you have to be covered up, isn't it? Yeah, and women were not allowed to drive.
They started driving.
The women started
in
driving like
2019,
2 or 3 years ago.
If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 2 or 3, 4
2019,
years ago, they
Yes.
started driving because of Mohammed bin Salah,
Yeah.
MBS, isn't it? He's the one that really pushed for that narrative. He's also alcohol is legal now in Saudi Arabia. That was a
really?
few months ago. Yeah,
Is it legal?
Really?
in
it's,
South
le- it's
Africa?
legal
legal?
now. It's legal now. It was
really?
illegal
But
to have
isn't that against their religion?
Well, the thing is, he's beginning to open up a little bit because they need the
have been locked-
market like Dubai.
Yeah.
The tourist market.
They
They have
need the
been
tourists
locked. They have been
they've-
locked away from
yeah,
a lot of
from reality.
economies. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I wanted to go to